Likutei Moharan Tereches. So after we have ascertained that there is a bechina, it's called Ruach Chaim. That's the spirit of life, Lebengeist, that fuels the world, that sustains the world, that gives the world life. And there is a bechina of Ruach Chaim that sustains a person. Person keeps him alive. And we also learned that when something is lacking, the main chisoron is in the Ruach Chaim that gives it life. And we also learned that when a person sighs and when he kvetches, and on the fact that on whatever chisoron he has, he sucks in, he pulls in Ruach Chaim to fill out whatever it is that he lacks. Okay, now the Rebbe is going to explain where does a person get this Pnius Ruach Chaim in order to fulfill whatever he lacks. What's the source? Where's it coming from? It's not a Sif base. From where does a person receive this Ruach Chaim in the time when he sighs? Which, as we said before, that completes his chesronos. Should know sheida sheikar Ruach Chaim mekablim me'atzadik v'arav shebador. The main Ruach Chaim you receive from the tzaddik and the rav of the generation of the door. Ve'ikar Ruach Chaim u'batorah. And where's this reservoir of Ruach Chaim? Where is this air tank? Where it's in the Torah. As it is said, v'alza yisa sayu v'avoyu, v'chosh al pnei tahom, v'ruach Elokim l'chev b'nei hamayim. And the spirit of Hashem is hovering above the water. What Torah? This is the Torah that was akin to water, was parallel, was compared to water. Upon which the Ruach Elokim, the Ruach Chaim, hovers this, so that means that the Ruach Chaim is in the Torah. Tzaddikim are living Torah. That's what they are. They are alive Sefer Torah. That's what the Gemara says, Kamatipshe Inshi, how stupid people are, that they get up before Sefer Torah, but they don't get up when Talmid Chacham comes in. Because the Talmid Chacham is alive Sefer Torah. This is Sefer Torah in action. It's not that Sefer Torah in principle, in data. It's a live Sefer Torah. V'tzadikim dveikim b'Torah. The tzadikim there adhere to the Torah because they were zocher to cleanse their body from all the bad, and they are oisik b'Torah with gusto, with tremendous gear, and they are mekayim the Torah b'shleimus, so they become Torah. Valken ikar Ruach Chaim etzlam. That's the reason why the vast majority of Ruach Chaim is by them, because they received the Ruach Chaim from the Torah. The same thing over here, right? I saw, very chashuv people, and they are very few. That's what the Kodesh Baruch Hu said. So from all the world, the Pareto principle, the Ruach Chaim is only by the tzaddikim, and from all the tzaddikim, again with this Pareto principle, the entire Ruach Chaim is by tzaddik ador. And when a person, when you are mekushel to the Rav of the generation, which means that you believe in him and you mekayim his eitzes, you do what he says. When you are sighing, you take a deep breath, do this action of, you give a good akrechts, mamshich, you're drawing the Abchinas Ruach Chai from the Tzaddik Shabado. You're bringing upon yourself the spirit of life and the Tzaddik of the generation, which is Dovak B'Torah Shesham HaRuach. When you believe in the Tzaddik and you do what he says, you're connected to him. So when you kvetch, you bring about the Ruach Chai from Tzaddik Gadol that is adherent to the Torah, which is where the Ruach is. And that's the reason, V'zeo shenikra Tzaddik, the Torah is called Vayomer Hashem Moshe Kachas Yeshua Binun, which says, Ish Asher Ruach Bo, a person that there is Ruach in him. That there is, this Moshe, Kodesh Baruch Hu told Moshe, take Yeshua, who is Ish Asher Ruach Bo. He's a man who has Ruach in him. And Chazal said, שיודע להלוך נגד רוח של כל אחד ואחד, that he's able, to counter the Ruach of every single person. Which means, Rashi said that knows how to lead every person according to his teva and according to his way. And so that's that Pasuk Pshat. שיודע להלוך כנגד רוח של כל אחד ואחד, the tzaddik is ממשיך ומשלים רוח חיים של כל אחד ואחד. The tzaddik completes the ruach of every single person, that knows how to go against the ruach of every single person, that knows how to complete the ruach of every single person, because he knows how much ruach chaim every single person needs in order to fulfill his chesronos. This is what we said, the Chazal said, Baruch David HaMelech had his kinnor, he had his violin hanging on top of his bed. When Chatzos Laila Kam, a Ruach Tzfonis, a northern wind comes, and Menagem Elov, and it would cause the violin to sing, the violin, the harp, whatever it is that this particular instrument was. It causes it to play. That was David HaMelech's alarm clock. Immediately he got up, and he was learning Torah. Ad Shalom Od HaShachar. I have to tell you, when I was fortunate to, Kodesh Baruch Hu brought me, to Bnei Brak. When I started my way in Yiddishkeit, I lived in Tel Aviv, and I did what I did. What I was excited and this, and I was doing what I was doing. But the guys, the people that I lived amongst, in Tel Aviv. They were like, I'm talking the religious, I'm not talking about the Frau, the religious, it was like, they came to daven 3 times a day, and it was very sleepy, except on Shabbos, and... Very sleepy. What? No, on Shabbos, they were just sitting there, with schmoozing and this and that. It was like it was as my wife calls it, it's a thing that they do. It's still a gewaldige thing. Everybody around them is, so it's a gewaldige thing, but it was a sleepy little, it's like a... And then I moved to Bnei Brak. And as I'm moving to Bnei Brak, it was such a culture shock. I moved from Amsterdam Street, next to Luther, to living opposite the Stipler. One shot, bam! It's like, woo!
People into a session.
But then when I went to Breslev, and Rabbeinu brought me, to his guys, the Vasikin, the Libermensch, and the rest of the gang, it was drilled into me, even though I myself, I'm not Mekayim this, I don't live it, I wish I did, but the Ein of Avodah, I remember, you know, Nachman Galinsky Zichron Levrocha, we used to have a charus. I told you it was Chatzos. He would come one night. He would come wake me up, and one night I went to him to wake him up. Then we go to the Mikveh Chofetz Chaim, and then we went to the Orange Grove and Mikveh Beidedus, and then we went to Dam Vasikin in Breslov. And then we came one day. We came we are in the morning. And after we finished the mikveh, what we do, we put the tassen tefillin in the shul, and we go to the Orange Grove to make this Beidedus.
Yeah.
I remember I was so scared. We went to Orange Grove. I wasn't what I was going to find there. So Nachman said, "What are you so afraid of?" I said, "I don't know. Maybe a dead body." So what's everybody afraid of a dead body? It's dead. What do you? No, it's scared. I didn't know. So whenever I used to go there and I used to climb on a tree. I used to sit on the tree and I used to think it's very to sitting on a tree.
You need to be on the high ground.
I took the high road. So I remember one day we came and the Nelson Lippich, he lived across the street. I showed you where he lived, just in the corner, in the Kumat Kalka. And we came there, and then it wasn't such a big, it was just a little butke. It wasn't just a low building. This is all it was. Actually, it was two buildings. And there was light there. It was a small light there. So we didn't know, was it 3 o'clock in the morning, who was there? Like it was maybe thieves, this, we didn't know what to say. So we snuck by the window, and we saw some women sitting there, with a stand. And he was, and his face was red, like, he had so much koiches, he was putting it like that, just putting everything into it. It got drilled into me that this thing of avoiding, you work, you put in your hours, you put in your energy, you put in your everything. That this thing of avoid of tircha, of yigia. I mean, leider, I don't do that. Yeah, but at least I know what the truth is. I mean, at least I don't deny that. Hey, you don't need to. No, that this is the. It was such a that was the politically correct, atmosphere. That's the right thing to do. I haven't found it anywhere else. There was Baruch Hashem, people learning Torah, and Baruch Hashem, Chassidus, with the Rebbe, with the Tishon, with the this, with that. But this I didn't see this anywhere else. So it says, this is David HaMelech. It's David HaMelech, midnight. He went to sleep. What? They said there's a child of what is 60 breaths? What does it apply? So there's something half an hour, something 3 hours. There's different kind of shittas of what these shitinishmin means. How much does this horse sleep? There's half an hour, 3 hours. There's the different shittas. But whatever it is, he's lying in his bed and the window is open. And Yerushalayim, it's cold. It's like but the window is open, the violin is there, the alarm clock is there. Chatzos, the wind changes, it goes, plays the violin, wakes up. That's David HaMelech. That's not Henry VIII. That's not. It's not Saddam Hussein. That's David HaMelech. Where is Hashem? Coming like a lion, and just getting up and just doing it. הלוואי עלינו וכך רבינו בעזרת השם. רוח צפוניס מן השמש בכינו של דוד, and the northern wind that blows through the violin of David, that Ruach Tzfonis, that's the Ruach Chaim, that's the spirit of life. Kikino shel David, shel Chamesh Nimin, the violin of David, the Melech had 5 strings. Keneged Chamishechem Shetera. This is, it was a representation of Chamishechem Shetera, which means that the kinnor, that instrument, is the Torah. The Ruach Tzofa Shtam Shabbos boy, and the northern wind that would blow through it. That's the Spirit of God that hovers above the water. And the reason why Ruach Tzofon, the northern wind, is what is Dafka, this is Ma'abelos Chaim, B'chinas Ruach HaTzofon B'libo Shel Adam. Tzofon means concealed, that's hidden. Ruach Tzfonis means that's the Ruach that is hidden in the heart of a person. It gives him life. Shu B'chinas Ruach Chaim, that the life of the person, and it resides in the heart of the person. That's why this, they say that the doifek, the pulse, that goes through the body. That's the B'chinas Ruach that goes. And there's a sorrow in 8 fikim. There's 10 different kind of pulses. By the way, you should know that in India, there's a friend of mine, a doctor, told me that. He says in India, when you don't have that much, there are many very, very good Indian doctors. He says, but in India, where they don't have, or at least they didn't have at the time, that the machinery, there was not the availability, the sophisticated machinery is not as like it's in America, whatever it is. So the doctors there have mumchias, they have proficiencies that Western doctors lost because they rely on machinery all the time. They rely on test results. So he told me, he says the whole art of checking a person, it used to be that's how a doctor found out everything. It's like probably the biggest artists of this are probably veterinarians, because the animals cannot tell them what hurts, right? So they have to be able to, by touching them, to figure out what's wrong with them. So he told me that when I told him what the Rebbe says, the Asarim and Tfikin, the 10 types of pulses, he says the doctors in India, they can tell, what's wrong with the person according to the kind of pulse that they feel. That's umnus, that, the minei Tfikin. So this is the Ruach HaManashim and the God, this is the doifik, which knocks on a person to wake him from Avodas Hashem. That's the Ruach that is in the person that knocks in your veins. It knocks on the door. Wake up to Avodas Hashem. So this is, David HaMelech was adhered to the Torah. So you receive Chaim from the Torah, and he was Mashpia, he was the Melech, he was Mashpia to the entire Klal Yisrael. Up to now, to be continued, in Hashem, tomorrow.